Welcome to Azeroth United, a weekly podcast about World of Warcraft. My name is Denethar, and I am your host.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's Monday night in Azeroth, and we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about the current state of World of Warcraft Classic. Yes, I know I've done this before, but a few things have happened over the past couple of weeks, and I wanted to kind of have a touch base and maybe a little bit of a reality check for all of you players who are currently enjoying Classic. And let's just kind of get to see where we are, what our journey has been so far, and where we might be going in the next few months or even few years. We're also going to talk a little bit about Legion Remix and the changes that were put into place there, and some things coming from its Pandaria Classic. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and enjoy. And before I get to the news, I wanted to do a quick rundown of what I got up to last week in World of Warcraft. It's been kind of fun. I did all of my delves across my two main characters who I'm trying to play. And the thing with delves right now is that the state that they're currently in, if you're a tank, you can just brute force them. You don't need to pay attention to the item level requirements. You don't need to worry about brands so much. Just set them to DPS and go. Yeah, you can pretty much brute force it. Sometimes I die because I'll pull 3 or 4 packs at once, but for the most part, it's kind of brainless. So in order to kind of make myself feel a little bit of something, I switched my Death Knight to Frost, which I had been wanting to do anyway, but wanted to try out some of the new Frost builds and see where things are. So I switched him to Frost, which he has been on and off throughout the years. It's not always been a blood DK. And it's pretty fun. I will say I'm enjoying the new Frost build. I don't like Breath of Sindragosa still, but it is better than it was before. I did see what I didn't like was having to save my runic power for Breath of Sindragosa. So now that it's relying on eating your procs, I like that a lot better. So I don't know. I guess I'll give that a try. My goal is to do some M+ this week and see if I can and get some keys in there. I'm a little nervous about tanking Mythic Plus. I'm being a baby about it, and I'm just a little scared. So, I mean, that's how it goes. So yeah, you get into a new season and you're ready, gung ho. All right, I'm going to do M+ this time, and I'm going to do this many keys, and I'm going to do this blah blah blah, and then I'm actually looking at the key or the group finder, and I'm going, you know what? I'll try one tomorrow. I'll do a key tomorrow. I really want to do keys. I do. I miss running keys, honestly. I had a lot of fun doing keys on my Fury Warrior, which I'm going to have to get her geared up now because Fury Warrior's got a pretty big buff. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where I am on the game right now. The Paladin is just kind of doing his thing. He's cruising. It is funny, though, to go and do a delve, especially if I do them one after the other, where I'll run a delve and I'll be like, oh, look, there's my Paladin. That's where he died. So, yeah, it's kind of funny, but I really like the new delve system. Sometimes my guys will just be in there hanging out. Sometimes they'll see the tombstones. Other times you get the monster that actually killed the guy that my alt. So that's kind of funny. So anyway, delves are fine. As I mentioned last week, the time walking, Cataclysm, time walking, and Firelands, and sure enough, running Ragnaros was a nightmare, just as I thought it would be. We had 3 wipes, 2 wipes, and then the third attempt we killed him. But it's frustrating. I don't like having to go through that. It's I feel like time walking should be a challenge, but not mechanically so. It should be a throughput check rather than a mechanics check. And I think it's probably for the best that they stopped at Cataclysm, because honestly, anything beyond that is going to be too hard mechanically for a time walking group. So there you go. Yeah. And aside from that, it's been a pretty quiet week as far as the World of Warcraft goes. I did start playing through the Warcraft 3 campaign again, because for some reason I just got it in my head that I really want to do this now. So I bought the remastered Warcraft 3 or whatever last year. I think it was last year. for the anniversary. Got that, and I had played it a little bit when I first got it, but not a whole bunch after that. So I fired it up and I was like, here we go. We're gonna get in there. We're gonna play Arthas, and got the loading screen, and that was it. It just stayed loading screen, and I thought that's a little odd. So I killed it, tried it again, same thing. So I started doing some Google searching and found out that apparently there's a problem with Warcraft 3 where it will just hang on the login screen or the loading screen. So I made a couple of changes, rebooted my computer a few times, finally got it set up, got playing, got in there. Love the remastered Warcraft 3. It looks great, feels great. It's a fun game. You know, I had recently just played through Warcraft 2, and the difference in gameplay between Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2 is astounding. How far they came from just one iteration of the game to the next. Because from Warcraft 1 to Warcraft 2, there's not a whole lot of changes. It's a few quality of life changes, but nothing extraordinary. From Warcraft 2 to Warcraft 3 is massive. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's such a great game. It's an all-timer. If you've never played Warcraft 3, do yourself a favor, pick it up. I think it's like $10-20 on the Blizzard store. Run through Warcraft 3. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun. If you've never done a real-time strategy game, it could be a little overwhelming at first, trying to control all the units and where's this guy going, where's that guy. But it is a lot of fun. So I would definitely recommend for that. The other thing that I did this week, which for good or bad, I don't know. You be the judge of that. I finally stood up a website for the podcast, AzerothUnitedPod.com. So previously I had AzerothUnitedPod.com pointing to my link tree. So it was just doing a redirect, which was fine, but it wouldn't allow me to do anything else on there. So rather than just going through that and using that as the kind of how I'm interfacing with the world, I figured, all right, I'll go ahead and get a basic hosted site set up. So I went on there and went to go set up a site, and I realized I haven't written a website in 20 years. And the last time I did it, I was writing, PHP and HTML code and JavaScript. So I thought, well, I better learn how to do modern web design, which it's not really modern web design. It's HTML5 is it's very similar to the old ways. There's a lot of stuff that's been deprecated over the years. I immediately started putting center tags everywhere, and it's like, hey, that's really not a good idea anymore. I thought, oh, well, I need a tool that I can use to write HTML. Let me download Dreamweaver. Well, that hasn't been updated in 4 years. So I'm just, when you get one of those moments that you realize, oh, I am old, huh? Yeah, I haven't stayed up with the times. So anyway, but it's up there now. If you want to check it out, AzerothUnitedPod.com. It's very basic. There's nothing fancy up there yet. My goal is to actually start putting like some blogs and things up there. Things that really don't belong on a Discord server. But definitely if you want to go check it out, you can get on there. It's got the link to the Discord. It's got the link to the Patreon. The other thing that I did was I started a Ko-Fi or a Ko-fi, however you want to pronounce that. I don't know. It's confusing to me because I don't get the whole coffee thing. But anyway, I set that up because somebody had asked me about donating some money. They didn't want to subscribe to the Patreon, but they said, hey, I want to donate money to your podcast. Like, give me a tip or whatever. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but I don't have anything like that set up. So I wasn't able to do that. When I thought, well, maybe I'll set one up. And if somebody wants to do that, that's fine. Not everyone wants to do a subscription. So you can check that out on the new website as well. I don't know quite how it works. And I think that I've still got to figure out because there's a payment system that you utilize that it collects the payments on the app and then it sends it through the payment processor. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm still working on it. But anyway, it's there. This sort of thing is still a challenge to me, but I'll get it figured out. Anyway, so that's all on there. And yeah, that's all I got. I was looking at other podcasts that have websites because I was like, well, what type of information should a podcast have on its website? Because I feel like everything should be in Discord anyway. And it's like, well, there are certain things that you could put on there. And like, if you go to the Starting Zone's website, startingzone.com, they have every single episode uploaded to their website. every single one. They have like 700 episodes. And I thought, well, okay. And that's, maybe I'll skip that part. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, so check it out, AzerothUnitedPod.com. It's got all the links, the Discord, the Patreon, everything else. And yeah, there you go. And that's it. I think that's all I got up to last week as far as the game and WoW stuff. So, right, let's move on to the news, and then we'll get into this classic discussion. Okay, so before we move on, I have to put this out there. I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, and every time I talk about it, I go, oh, I should have said this, or oh, I should have said that. So I know what's going to happen is I'm going to have this whole conversation. I've written out all these notes, and here's exactly what I want to say, and I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to think of 20 things that I should have said. So just know, if you listen to this and you go, hey, how come you didn't talk about this or that or the other thing? It's because I'm an idiot. All right, on to the news.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, so we're going to skip any updates on Turtle WoW because there have not been any updates there of the lawsuit, other than the developers of Turtle WoW saying they're never going to shut down the server, which, of course, that's what everyone expected them to say. But we'll see how that goes as far as the court filings go. But speaking of classics, we have two things for Mists of Pandaria classics. We had the Terrace of Endless Springs launched last week and got us going. That's our final phase 1 raid for Mists of Pandaria classic. So everything is launched except for the Heroic Plus dungeons won't have the Terrace of Endless Springs loot until next week. So that's fine. And then the other thing is Blizzard announced the release for phase 2, which is going to be September 23rd. This is going to be the Landfall patch. This is going to be some new scenarios and also feature the Legendary Cloak with Rathian. And this is Turban Rathian. This isn't Hot Boy Rathian. So, yeah, so you can check that out. He's going to be in his little tavern on the side of the mountain, whatever. So yeah, if you did the legendary quest line before, it's dumb, but for the cloak. But yeah, there you go. So that's going to be on September 23rd for Mists of Pandaria Classic. And this is, like I said, this is one of those things that every piece of information that we get is going to tell us a little bit more about Blizzard's plans, or at least what their current plans are for Classic. So, yeah, 23rd of September. We still don't have a release date for patch 11.2.5, which is going to be the Legion remix. So I'm assuming it's going to be a week or two after that. So we'll see. Speaking of Legion remix, so Blizzard did go back to the drawing table with a lot of the remix, and because of the feedback that they got. And so they changed a lot. Now it's still going to have a phased rollout. So we're still going to have phase 1 is going to be Emerald Nightmare, phase 2, Nighthold, phase 3, Tomb of Sargeras, and so on. But what they did add is they're increasing the amount of currencies that you get. So there's 2 different currencies. One is to upgrade your artifact weapon, which is going to make you more powerful. And the other one is the bronze that you're going to use to buy your transmogs, your mounts, your pets, and toys and whatnot. So you're going to get more currencies on both sides, which is great. The other thing that they're doing is they are not going to limit player power as much as they were before. So previously what would happen is you would upgrade your artifact weapon and it would increase your primary stat. And the more you increased it, the smaller the increases would get. So that I think it was like 10% or whatever that you were. So you were working way harder to get smaller and smaller upgrades. They got rid of that. They said, you know what, screw it. This is a remix. This is for fun. And we should have crazy scaling player power. So they turned off that component of it. So you can just upgrade your primary stat forever. Infinitely scaling power. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Most of the feedback that I saw on the PTR was pretty good. People seem really happy with the current State of Legion remix. The only complaints that I saw were people didn't like the phased rollout, which understandable. And people are mad that they can't get the Mage Tower artifact appearances. Now, I have thought about this because I never got any of the Mage Tower artifact appearances. I never did a single Mage Tower. I didn't even do the Mage Tower when it came back during Legion Time Walking. I just didn't care. There are certain things, certain time and place moments that will never be repeated. It's like if you have the Gladiator mount from a certain season, no one should ever be able to get that wasn't there at that time, right? There are certain things in the game that don't need to be limited time rewards. The fact that the Mage Tower was marketed as a limited time reward, I think was dumb, but it was. It was marketed as a limited time reward. You'll never be able to get this again unless you do it right now. If Blizzard were to go back on that, I feel like it would be a slap in the face to all the people that worked really hard at that time to get it. And I don't think that Blizzard will be able to replicate the difficulty and the complexity of the Mage Tower in a remix setting. I just don't see how that's going to be possible. So as much as I would love to have all those artifact appearances, I don't think Blizzard should bring them back. I don't think that you should be able to get them in remix. I don't think that Blizzard should ever bring them back. If anything, you can get the appearance but in a different color. That's about the closest I would get to say, yeah, I think they should do that. But I don't even think that they should do that in this context. I think that might be something for down the road. Maybe a tie-in for if we do end up going to the Legion Classic. Yeah, people are mad, and I get it, but I don't think that that's something that you should get. I really don't. I think that it should stay at that time and that place. And if you weren't there, that's unfortunate, but I wasn't there when the Dodgers won the World Series in 1965. Are they going to bring that back? I never got to see Sandy Koufax pitch, but I just missed out on it. It's unfortunate. I can see the replays. I can listen to Vin Scully talk about it, but I'll never get to see it myself. I'll never get to be at Dodger Stadium watching this happen. And that's okay. I'm okay with that because I know it happened and it's cool, but I didn't get to be there. And so that's just life. Sometimes that happens. So, yeah, that's just the way it goes, unfortunately. You just have to live with it. So unfortunately, we're not going to get any Mage Tower artifact appearances. In fact, it sounds like there's going to be a limited artifact appearances that we will be able to get, but we'll get more into that. The Legion remix, what's coming with that and how exactly it's going to work in the next few weeks. Right now, the rumor for patch 10.2.5 is October 7th, but we don't have an official date yet. Once we get an official date, I will have a full coverage episode of what's coming in Legion Remix so that you are aware of all the different things that are happening for that particular game mode. I'm very excited about it. Not quite as excited as I was for Mr. Pandaria Remix. Just because I'll tell you, I've done Legion so many times. I'm kind of tired of it. Honestly, I'm done. I'm bored. I'm bored with Legion. I don't want to have to run those zones again. I'm just so tired of it. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. So Legion Remix on the PTR currently. I think the testing is over today. So hopefully we'll get word soon on when that patch is supposed to be released. So there you go. That's what's going on there. And then the final thing for the news is that Blizzard did go on and release all of the information for World of Warcraft Midnight that was revealed at Gamescom in a easy to read format through a blog post where you can click on the links and it takes you to different articles for the different features. It gives you all of the information, all the things that we wanted last week when I was going through and I was like, well, this didn't get revealed quite correctly. There was a question about the prey system. And I thought it wasn't going to give you any actual gear. Apparently, it does give you gear. It gives you gear in the Great Vault for the hero track gear in the Great Vault. If you do the highest level of prey, plus you can get champion gear. So it's like doing a delve, which that wasn't clear from the information that I read. So unfortunately, we're stuck with what we had at that moment. But now Blizzard has released all of this information. It is now available for you to go through and peruse. It's still very limited in what they are telling us about what is going to be in the new patch. we still don't have any clue as to what the timeline for that looks like. But if you want to have some clarity on some of these things, I don't want to go through all of those features again, just to clear up a couple of things, but it is there. If you want to go through and read on the blog post, I'll put the link to it in the show notes so you can see it yourself. It is really good. What they revealed. It's just, I wish that they had done it after Gamescom and not, 3 weeks later. So anyway, there you go. That's what's, that's what's going on there for, World of Warcraft Midnight. All right, let's move on to what's going on this week in World of Warcraft. As I mentioned last week, I am no longer going to be doing the whole affix discussion because I feel like it's just a waste of time. In all honesty, I don't think anyone cares. So the bonus event for the week is the Delves bonus event. You're going to get the Sign of the Explorer buff, not Dora the Explorer, the Sign of the Explorer. Delver's Journey Progress, Companion, Experience, and Undercoins increased by 25%. And then you're going to pick up the quest A Call to Delves from Archivist for Thrune and Dornogal to complete 5 Delves in Castle Gar. I'm assuming that this is going to include everything in Undermine and in Koresh, the Archival Assault. And then you're going to get a Cache of Delver Spoils, which will give you a champion track Delve item. So not exactly the greatest reward, but pretty good for an alt, or if you're just starting to gear up your character, that's a really good reward. I still need a neck piece, so I will be doing that, seeing if I can get a neck piece. The PvP brawl for the week is Classic Ashran. I hate this one. Classic Ashran is an open-ended tug-of-war battleground with special events around the zone, including quests and events. So I did this one back in the day. I did Ashran, and it was dumb. And I've done it as the PvP brawl for Classic Ashran, and it was dumb. But if you really want to do it, go for it, because I can't tell you how to play this game. When you zone in, you'll get the quest Something Different to win a PvP brawl, and it will be rewarded with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. So there you go. Classic Ashran is your PvP brawl for the week. And finally, we have the remainder of the Dark Moon Fair, which will run through Saturday, September 13th. And you make sure you go to the fair to get your XP and reputation buffs by doing the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, and get your skill points and knowledge points by doing your profession quests. Really important. If you are not maxed on any of those things, and you are trying to, maybe you learned a new profession, maybe you're leveling up an alt and they've got leatherworking or blacksmithing or something, and you just need those points. This is a great way to get points. So go check that out. And that's it. It's a quiet week in Azeroth. So enjoy kind of a little bit of a calm before the storm. We have a few more weeks before this Legion remix comes and blows everything up. There's one more thing that I forgot to mention that I should have included with the news, but I didn't. Blizzard has also announced and confirmed that coming with patch 11.2.5 will be a Season 3 turbo boost, which will increase the upgrade tracks for hero and myth tracks from 6 to 8. So you'll be able to go to 8 of 8 hero track or 8 of 8 myth track. And you're going to have this similar dinar type system to get a piece of loot. So I think it's going to be the same thing with 3 pieces of loot that you're going to be able to get. No word on whether or not we're going to get a new stupid belt or anything similar to that. We already have the cloak that we got from the Koresh campaign, so I'm assuming not, which is unfortunate because the overcharged delves were kind of fun, but yeah, so that's what's going on there. So Season 3 turbo boost will hit at the same time as Legion remix, so it'll basically be, which one do you want to do? Do you want to do dungeons, Mythic Plus in the main game, or do you want to do the remix mode? It's up to you. So that choice will present itself. I think a lot of people will probably just stick with the current game. I cannot imagine Legion Remix is going to be as popular. The only reason people wanted Remix for Legion is because somewhere in the back of their minds, they thought they were going to get their Mage Tower artifact appearances. So, and you're not. So anyway, all right, let's move on to the main topic of the week.
It's time for the main topic of the week.
All right. So I've done this a few times on the podcast where I wanted to talk about the current state of WoW Classic. And the reason that I do this is because I feel like it's fascinating because it tells a lot about Blizzard as a company, and it tells a lot about the health of the overall game, not just of Classic, but the health of the overall game. And it tells us a lot about the players of World of Warcraft and what they want out of their video games. Classic WoW started as an illegal server. So I say an illegal server. There were many private servers over the years that have come and gone that played vanilla WoW, and people were able to get on there and do it. And it's all illegal, but people did it, and that's fine. But Classic WoW itself really came about because of one private server, which was Nostalrius. Nostalrius came in, I believe it was 2015, and it was so close to the original vanilla WoW that people felt like they were playing the game that they had played 10 years ago when they were teenagers, right? So Nostalrius was huge, and Blizzard noticed. They saw how excited people were to play this. There was the famous BlizzCon in, was it 2013, I believe? BlizzCon 2013, You Think You Do What You Don't, J. Allen Brack, talking about wanting to play Classic. People saw the Warlords of Draenor, and they saw where retail was going. They didn't like Miss Pandaria, and they were like, can we just get the original game back, please? Blizzard didn't think that was a good idea, and so players found it elsewhere. They got their own servers. They played illegally because they wanted to play the game. That's what they were looking for. They weren't trying to hide from a subscription fee. Some of them maybe were. Some people were like, I'm never giving Blizzard another dime of my money. And that's fine. You do what you want to do. But a lot of people were playing Nostalrius because they wanted that original experience, and they got it. It was a huge event. There were a lot of people on. There was massive world PvP. I played on Nostalrius. I didn't really like it as well as a lot of other people because I don't like PvP. And since it was the only option was a PvP server, I didn't get very far before I was like, yeah, we're done here. But it is what it is. And I don't regret my time on Nostalrius. I do wish that I hadn't played an illegal server. But I wanted to play Classic. I wanted to play vanilla World of Warcraft. So then Nostalrius got a cease and desist from Blizzard, and they shut down their server right away. It was just like, oh, nope, we're not fighting them. We're doing this for fun. We're doing this for the love of the game, and we're shutting it down. So they shut down the server, and Blizzard announced, I believe it was a year later, they announced the coming of World of Warcraft Classic, a year and a half later or so. So there was other things that went on in between there. Blizzard invited the Nostalrius team out to talk about how they did the setup of vanilla server. There was some back and forth, but the Nostalrius team didn't feel like they were getting anywhere, and everybody was really frustrated with what was going on. But we finally got the announcement for World of Warcraft Classic, and everybody was very happy. So when we got the 2019 launch, it was a really big deal. People were excited. And rightly so. It was a very exciting time. Going back and doing those quests that you weren't able to do legally. You legally could not play those original quests. We could suddenly do them again. And we did. People played a lot. Blizzard made extra servers. It got crowded. There were so many people playing World of Warcraft. And Blizzard realized, oh, people actually like this. They thought, we're just going to throw some servers up, let people live out their childhood fantasies, and move on. And that's not what happened. People came and they stayed. Some people left, sure. Some people, tourists, came and they were like, oh, this is cool. I like this. I don't like the graphics. The graphics aren't good. These quests are terrible. Wow. I just killed 20 Murlocs and I only got 2 Murloc spittles or whatever. So yeah, a lot of people left, and that's okay, because those weren't the target audience for World of Warcraft Classic. They didn't have that nostalgia factor. Some people came to WoW Classic as their first experience to WoW. It was like, hey, why don't you try out this cool, they're doing a redo of the old style World of Warcraft. Come check it out. And so a lot of people came in as first timers in WoW Classic in 2019. And Blizzard noticed and they paid attention. And at some point, we don't know exactly when, but at some point, they had the conversation around Blizzard headquarters. Maybe we should look at doing the Burning Crusade because people liked that too, right? That'll be cool. And so they did. And so it went on from there. The reason that I'm talking about all this and the reason that I'm at this point right now is that, and talking about Turtle WoW has really brought it home for me. There have been a few things that have happened that if you take them in isolation, you go, okay, this is a thing. Here's this number or here's this event or whatever. Fine. But when you look at all of them together, you go, wait a minute, what's going on here? So let's break this down. First of all, you have the Turtle WoW lawsuit. And the lawsuit itself isn't the thing that I'm talking about right now. It's the reason for the lawsuit. Yes, Blizzard is protecting their intellectual property, but Turtle WoW boasted in the 40,000 of concurrent users. 40,000 concurrent users. That's a lot of WoW subscriptions that are not being paid to Blizzard. And yeah, some of them are because people just don't feel like paying. They're broke. They have no money, whatever. But some of them are because people just want to play a good version of that 1 to 60 vanilla game. And they don't feel like Blizzard is providing something of quality right now. They just retreaded Anniversary. It's the same thing that they did in 2019. People want something new. They want something interesting. And so they're looking for that elsewhere. Fine. I don't agree, but that's your choice. You do what you want to do. But Blizzard, in order to defend their intellectual property and also to defend their player base, because yeah, that is part of it. And not every single one of those players might come if Blizzard tomorrow launched Turtle WoW official servers by Blizzard. Not all of those players would come back, but some of them would. And that would be how much money that Blizzard is collecting from that. So that was a big part of it. But the reality is you had that many people. They have over 500 accounts on Turtle WoW, which means that you have that many people who are like, I want something else. I want something more. Blizzard is not giving me what I want. Okay. So that's one thing. And that's the big one that just came out. Prior to that, you had, so we talked about last week, the Ironforge Pro statistics for Mists of Pandaria Classic, and they don't look good. The numbers actually went down this past week. Rather than continuing the trend upward, they actually trended back down a little bit, which is unfortunate. The third raid has finally released, as I mentioned, the Terrace of Endless Springs, but those numbers are a little low. I'm guessing that they'll go up for Throne of Thunder. That was a very popular raid, but I don't know. They might not ever go back up. Mists of Pandaria Classic might be the first miss in the Classic life cycle. So, and we'll get more into that aspect of it. Two other things that I noticed. One was the survey that Blizzard put out, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Blizzard put out a survey where they basically asked, hey, what would you want to have happen to your Mists of Pandaria Classic characters at the end of Mists of Pandaria Classic? Would you want to continue on to Warlords of Draenor if that were an option? Would you want to stay on a Mists of Pandaria era server? Would you want to transfer your character to retail? And there was a few other options, but transferring your character to retail is a really interesting one because to me that says not only are they not going to Warlords of Draenor, but that's pretty much the end of Classic. In that iteration of Progression Classic, it's over. So if Blizzard is thinking about that, you know that it's a possibility. And the final thing that has really been nagging at me for a couple weeks now is this whole idea of WoW content creators, WoW Classic content creators playing old school RuneScape. Now, if you've ever seen game footage of old school RuneScape, it makes WoW look like a high graphic, high polished game, right? It's terrible graphics. But it's not the graphics that are interesting. I play old games. I play Roller Coaster Tycoon. The graphics on that are terrible, but it's a fun game, so I still play it. And old school RuneScape apparently is a very fun game. I haven't tried it, but a lot of people really enjoy it, and that's fine. So, all right. So we've got WoW content creators going to old school RuneScape. And why is the question that I asked myself. In the content creation game, there's two reasons that you play a game. One, This is the game that you are passionate about, that you love, and no matter what, this is what you're going to do. That's the camp that I'm in. All the content about WoW that I do because I love World of Warcraft, not because, this is the hot new game, and no. The other reason is, like I said, if it's the hot new game, and this is what is going to get you the clicks, the likes, the views, the subs, the primes, whatever it is, that's what people do. And the fact that so many content creators felt like they weren't getting that from WoW Classic, it says a lot. There was definitely a boom in WoW Classic streaming and content creation for hardcore, because it's interesting. It's the same reason that people watch NASCAR. You're not watching NASCAR to see who wins the race. You're watching NASCAR because you want to see if somebody's going to crash. Same thing with classic hardcore. You want to see somebody get wiped out by, a bad pull in Blackrock Spire. And, oh no, the tank died, and everybody's doing their flasks and trying to get out of the dungeon. Fine, but that's what people are tuning in for. They're tuning in for that. And once the excitement for WoW Classic or Classic Hardcore died down, the views and the subs started to drop off. WoW is not a good Twitch streaming game. Mythic Plus is hard to watch. WoW Classic, if there's nothing interesting going on, that one's hard to watch. Even the Race to World First, as exciting as it is, it's hard to watch because you don't even know what the hell's going on half the time. You're like, they have these weak auras that are popping up stuff all over the place, and it's a lot. So WoW is not a good streaming game. It's just not. And so you have a lot of creators who they're taking these, the lack of popularity for World of Warcraft, and it's going down to, all right, let's try something else. And so Old School RuneScape came up as an option, and people started playing that, and they're saying, it's giving the feel of a old school RPG and whatever. That's fine. I don't care. I'm not playing it. But the point is, this is something that people are doing because they don't feel like WoW Classic is at the same place. It's not as relevant as it once was. So like I said, if you take all of these things individually and you say, well, okay, fine. But if you take them all together and you go, I wonder what's going on here. Is this symptomatic of something wrong with the current state of WoW Classic? And so I wanted to kind of do an analysis, and I put together a little timeline, and yes, it's going to be a lot of numbers and dates, but I feel like it tells the story very well of the journey of WoW Classic and where we've gone and where we are right now and where we're going to be. What are we going to do in a year from now? Where are we going to be? So we'll run through this. There's a lot of dates on here, and I don't need to read all of these out for you, but 2017, November, WoW Classic was announced at BlizzCon 2017. We all remember that. Dale and Brack, favorite flavor of ice cream and such. August 2019, WoW Classic launched. So this was the big launch. This is the big date. As I said, everybody got excited. It was a big deal. Lots of streamers going on. Lots of Twitch streaming. All right. In March of 2020, phase 4 for WoW Classic launched. This was the Zul'Grub phase, right? And that by itself is not extraordinary. Zul'Grub follows Blackwing Lair, which follows Dire Maul and the world bosses. It's a progression, right? But what else happened in March? If you might recall, it's when most people started working from home. So you have this game that had this really big launch. It got a lot of attention. That attention started to die down, and the kind of focus went away from it a little bit. Still a lot of people playing, still a lot of excitement about it. But then in March, we all got sent home. Or not all of us. Some of us still had to go continue working. Hi, honey. Sorry that was like right when you became a nurse. So yeah, that shot the popularity of WoW Classic through the roof. Streaming, every sort of content that you could imagine. People created their WoW or their streaming careers that year during the pandemic. And a lot of them did it through playing WoW Classic. So yeah, that really changed the game. It shot the popularity through the roof, and it made it super huge. Now, what follows is a series of attempts by Blizzard to ruin that. Okay. So somewhere in 2020, Blizzard realized, hey, we've got to keep this going because we're about to hit Naxxramas, and then what? We have no game left. So they decided to do what they did back in 2006, which was let's move on to Outland and the Burning Crusade. So we got the Burning Crusade Classic. It was announced at the BlizzCon line, which was held in February of 2021. So we're still in the pandemic, although a lot of people have already gone back to work. And people got excited. And so kind of the waiting for TBC guild started, and people got all hyped up for that. And then in May, Blizzard decided, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to give you a choice. You can either keep your character on a classic era server, or you can move your character progression into the Burning Crusade server. But if you would like, you can copy your character. You can clone your character from onto the era server so that you have a copy of each for $35. And people went bonkers because that's a lot of money for a character copy. Now, as somebody who works in IT, I can tell you, file copy is not expensive at all. In fact, it's super easy. I actually had a job once where that was what I had to do. I had to sit there at a desk and on a meeting with everybody, and everybody did their parts. And then when it got to my turn, they said, okay, copy the files. And I would copy the files, and they would go, okay, that step is done. That was it. That's all I had to do. It was dumb. I got paid a lot of money for that job too. So Blizzard relented, and they lowered the price to $15, which people said, well, why did you charge us $35 if you could do it for $15? And it's pretty obvious. They were trying to price gouge. Look, I've always said this. Blizzard's job is to make money. So if they can make money on their players, they're going to. But in this case, yeah, that was a little greedy of them. So they changed it to $15, which people I begrudgingly accepted. Some people said, screw it, I'm not leaving my character on era, which I'm sure they later regretted. And then in May 18th, we got the Burning Crusade pre-patch, which saw the launch of the Blood Elves and the Draenei. And then we got the launch on June 1st. We didn't get much of a pre-patch that time. So we had this whole series of things that Blizzard the Burning Crusade had so much hype going into it, and Blizzard tried so hard to kill that hype. I don't know why they couldn't think through, like, hey, this is going to be perceived poorly by the community. No, I don't know. And none of it makes sense, but that's what they did. They stumbled their way through the launch of the Burning Crusade. It still became very popular. I don't know if it was quite as popular as the original Classic, the 2019 Classic, but it was really popular. It got a lot of people playing, people who missed out the first time. Maybe they played in vanilla back in 2004 or 2005, and then they stopped playing for a few years. Some people might have started playing in 2007, 2008, and so this was their version of Classic. So they wanted to come back specifically for that. And so in September, you had the launch of Phase 2. So Tempest Keep, Serpentine Cavern, those raids. And so Burning Crusade Classic is going along just fine. It recovered from that stumble of the character cloning and the shortened pre-patch, but we're cruising along now. We're into Phase 2. We've got 2 bosses, Kael'thas and Lady Vosh. This is exciting. And Blizzard announced Season of Mastery. So if you weren't there at the time, this is 2021, Blizzard announces Season of Mastery, which is a quick version of the 2019 Classic. They're going to redo it. They're going to change some of the things around. They're going to make some of the boss fights harder. They're going to make the tier 0.5 gear available at launch. To say that this took the wind out of Burning Crusade sales is an understatement. It was so confusing to people because they were like, wait a minute, which version should I play? Should I play the era server that I paid $15 to copy my character to? Should I play the Burning Crusade? Or should I play this new Season of Mastery? Season of Mastery launched in November and quickly burned through its phases. It got to Phase 6 in July of 2022. So it ran through its whole thing in less than a year. But it was weird. I played Season of Mastery and it was a lot of fun, but it was weird that they launched it so soon after the launch of Burning Crusade. it made no sense to me. Burning Crusade continued on. You had Mount Hyjal and Black Temple in January of 2022, Zul'Aman in March, and the Sunwell in May. And that wrapped up the Burning Crusade's timeline. It was actually, in my opinion, it was a little too short. They could have lasted a little bit longer, but they really wanted to get to Wrath of the Lich King because they knew that was where the money was going to be. And they were not wrong. Wrath of the Lich King launched first, Wrath of the Lich King was announced in April of 2022. This was the live stream that we got the announcement for Dragonflight as well. And Blizzard even teased us with the 2 that looked like it was about to change to a 3, but then it changed back to a 2, whatever. So we thought it was going to launch in 2023, but it wasn't. It was 2022. September was the launch, September 26th, and everything was right. Season of Mastery closed its servers in February of 2023, and we kind of settled into, all right, we're good now. We can just kind of chill for a while. During this time, and I'm not exactly sure when it started, but a movement had begun probably sometime around 2020, 2021, early 2021. The hardcore movement had started gaining some steam, and people were doing it on their own. There was an add-on that you could use that would keep track of it and so to prevent you from cheating. And people were just playing hardcore on classic era servers. And Blizzard even tried to integrate it into Season of Mastery. But it wasn't until 2023 that they announced official hardcore servers coming in June of 2023. So we got hardcore servers. They launched in August. It was a really big deal. Everyone got really excited. But that really didn't cause any issues because we're right in the middle of Wrath of the Lich King. We had Icecrown Citadel going. It was a really exciting time for World of Warcraft Classic. 2023, in my opinion, was like the pinnacle of WoW Classic. Everything after that has been a slow stumble into despair. So in November, we had the first BlizzCon that we have had since 2019, where we got the announcement for not just Cataclysm Classic, but Season of Discovery. Season of Discovery, which was a seasonal server, really flipped the script on Classic. Instead of just giving us the same things over and over again, they retooled some of the low-level dungeons into leveling raids that we could get at a level cap. So level cap was 25, and then we got Black Fathom Deeps as a leveling raid. Level cap was 40, and we got Gnomeregan as a leveling raid. It was a very interesting thing. Blizzard also introduced the rune system where we would get new abilities that they were kind of like copies of existing retail abilities. This was as close as we've gotten to official Classic Plus servers. And it was really just Blizzard trying things and seeing what happened. If you played Season of Discovery at all, you'll know that it felt almost clunky, like a private server, like somebody had just kind of went in there and modified the code a little bit to see what would work. Some of the boss fights were really janky. Some of the abilities didn't work right. The interface for selecting your abilities didn't work really well. Overall, I'd say it was exciting and it was fun. And if you just take the gameplay was a lot of fun. It was a good time. But it felt almost rushed. It felt like somebody was like, hey, you know what? We should come up with something for BlizzCon. And they were like, oh, crap, what do we do? That's how it felt. But it launched at November 30th, Season of Discovery. And Season of Discovery ran through the bulk of its life cycle during 2024. And that was a good year for Season of Discovery. But we also saw the launch of Cataclysm Classic. And Cataclysm Classic, despite my big protestations and thoughts of, oh, this isn't going to work, was actually pretty successful. People really liked Cataclysm, especially people who hadn't played it before. A lot of people quit playing, though. A lot of people said this is no longer classic. This is the game that I can play currently in live World of Warcraft. The only thing that's different is the talents and some of the abilities are different, but same quests. Those raids are the same raids they are currently. You can just do them at level. So for a lot of people, this really didn't give them the classic experience, and so they quit in droves. A lot of people just stayed on Season of Discovery. You had Phase 4 of Season of Discovery that launched in July, which was the level 60, Molten Core, Onyxia, and so forth. And that took a lot of people away from Cataclysm at that point. And they focused on Season of Discovery. And I think a lot of people were hoping that Blizzard was going to turn Season of Discovery into Classic Plus. They were going to flip a switch and it was going to be like, boom, this is now Classic Plus. Kind of the same way that Thunderbolt switched to New Avengers. But they didn't. Instead, in May of 2025, they announced that they weren't going to be developing anything else for Season of Discovery, and the servers died. So, yeah. Anyway, back to 2024. So, Season of Discovery at this point is still cruising along. People think there's going to be a future for it. In November, we had the Warcraft Directs. This is the 30th anniversary of Warcraft and the 20th anniversary of World of Warcraft. Blizzard had a big announcement thing that they were doing. So we got Mists of Pandaria Classic servers. We're going to, obviously, that was the next step of Classic. Everybody knew that was coming. We got the 20th anniversary Classic reboot servers, or fresh Classic servers that we're going to be launching. And we got Hardcore 2 that was going to launch on the Anniversary Classic server client as well. So we had a bunch of new Classic versions that were coming out. It was very exciting. Plus, we had Season of Discovery that was going strong. This was a really good time, but this was also the beginning of there's too much to do. So people were torn. Should I level up or get my characters ready for Mists of Pandaria? Should I level up a character in Anniversary? Should I stick with my hardcore character, my original hardcore character, or my new hardcore character? Or do I stay with my Season of Discovery character? It became too much, and people started to get frustrated. And then in 2025, which is where we are right now, we had the launch of Dragon Soul in January, Season of Discovery Phase 8, which was the Scarlet Enclave, which was the final raid of Season of Discovery, and the launch of Mists of Pandaria Classic in July. All of these things happened while the Anniversary servers were progressing along, slowly losing steam after the height of Blackwing Lair. Until the point where we are now, which is Mists of Pandaria Classic has the lowest raiding population of any version of Classic ever. Or at least a progression Classic. So where do we stand now? Well, we still have the announcement for Phase 6 of Anniversary servers to come. We don't know when that's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be sometime around October. We do know that the Anniversary servers are supposed to progress into the Burning Crusade at some point in the future as well, probably sometime early next year. And we got the announcement for Mists of Pandaria Classic Phase 2, which is the Landfall patch, which there's really not a whole lot in that phase. So it's really just an extension of Season 1 of Mists of Pandaria Classic. So what's next? Well, we have Phase 3 that's going to be announced at some point. That's going to be the Throne of Thunder. And that should be pretty popular. A lot of people really like that raid. I feel like it's going to get some attention. It's going to get some people coming back. And beyond that, I don't know. We have BlizzCon 2026 that we know is on the docket. And that's in September. So from July 2025 till September 2026, over a year, that's way too long for the next announcement. Which means if Blizzard is going to announce Warlords of Draenor Classic, they're going to need to do it outside of the normal announcement cycle. They didn't announce it at Gamescom, which was last month, August. And so we could get a live event like we had for the announcement of Wrath of the Lich King and Dragonflight. We could get that. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But we also just had the announcement for World of Warcraft Midnight at Gamescom. So that would have been the time to announce if something was coming for Classic. We also have all of this speculation that the reason that Blizzard went after Turtle WoW now is because they finally decided to go ahead and design a full-on Classic Plus experience for players. Again, maybe that's possible, but if they announce something in September of 2026, where does that leave us for the rest of the game? So there's a couple of questions that we have to ask. Is Mists of Pandaria Classic going to continue on into Warlords of Draenor? Right now, that's not certain. We don't know. I could see Blizzard just saying, let's just go through it and not put any development time into it. The problem with Warlords of Draenor is that because of the garrison system, you're going to kill whatever population you have for Mists of Pandaria. So if let's, as we talked about last week, there's about 180,000 raiding characters in Mists of Pandaria Classic. You put those people through Warlords of Draenor, you're going to lose half of them. You'll be lucky to have 90,000 people raiding, or 90,000 characters raiding. in Warlords of Draenor. The raids were good. Warlords of Draenor raids were really good. There's just nothing to do. There's no content. The leveling zones are good, and the raids are good. The dungeons are okay. They're better than Miss Pandaria's dungeons, but they're just okay. You didn't even really get any good outdoor activity until you get to the final phase, where you have the Tanan Jungle dailies. And even that's not that good. So, what do you do? I mean, are people really going to sit in their garrisons for a year? I don't know. And I think Blizzard is asking themselves that same question. Did Miss Pandaria kill Classic? It's possible. It is possible. A lot of people just really don't like the panda aesthetic. You have these cartoony like characters, and yeah, WoW is a cartoony game, but the pandas were really cartoony. And that was kind of the beginning of introducing all of these different various cartoony type characters. You know, you've got like the Volpera and mechanomes and things that it's like, well, wait a minute, what game is this? What am I playing? So some of them are a little weird. It's true. I mean, look, the Volpera are cute, but it's a little weird. So if Blizzard is going to announce a Warlords of Draenor Classic, they're going to have to do it out of band. And that's going to be the announcement because there's nothing else to announce. The only other thing that you could announce would be Anniversary is going to Wrath Lich King, but we haven't even gotten to Burning Crusade yet. See, how are you going to do that? So I feel like Blizzard has kind of boxed themselves into a corner here. And this might be intentional because there might not be an announcement for Warlords of Draenor. We might get a blog post that explains why Classic is ending, and it could be the prelude to a Classic Plus announcement. And I've talked about Classic Plus a lot. I've talked about what I want to see from Classic Plus, and I've talked about how I feel about Classic Plus. If Classic Plus is launched next year, or even the year after that, we'll play the shit out of it. I guarantee you. And a lot of people will. But it's really going to depend on how good it is, whether or not I continue doing so. But I will start off. Absolutely. I love 1 to 60 vanilla WoW. I'm just not sure if Blizzard has the capacity to give us something that is going to satisfy all of these people. They gave us Season of Discovery, and a lot of people were like, hey, if you squint your eyes really hard and kind of look at it funny, it looks like Classic Plus. And we had convinced ourselves that it was going to become Classic Plus at some point in the future. Blizzard would literally, like I said, flip that switch. But instead they closed it. So whatever they're going to do, it's not going to be Season of Discovery. I would suspect that if Blizzard is going to do Classic Plus, they're working on it right now. And as a result of that, they realized they've got to take down Turtle WoW. Because you cannot launch a Classic Plus while Turtle WoW exists. You just can't. So they're going to give themselves a year of lead time before the announcement in 2026. This is my prediction for Classic Plus. And this will be the end of World of Warcraft Classic because I feel like there's too many things that are pointing to things aren't going well. And while I said last week that 190,000 subscriptions is still a lot of money, it is. How many more are you going to get if you cut your losses and don't buy into the sunken cost fallacy and just say, all right, we're going all in on Classic Plus. Take all the developers off of Classic and put everybody, the whole team, on Classic Plus. They may not even do Wrath of the Lich King Anniversary, which would be crazy, but I mean, I could see that. Or maybe you have, if you have a 20-person team or a 12-person team or however many people they have on the Classic dev team, and you say, okay, Barry and Shipowitz are doing Wrath of the Lich King Anniversary, and everyone else is working on Classic Plus. All right, I could see that too. So what does all this mean? Where does it leave us today, currently? And I did say this at the beginning, or prior to the segment, there's going to be things that I forget. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this video as I'm editing it and go, oh, why didn't I say this? And why didn't I say that? And so in honor of my foresight, I'm going to leave myself a slight pause here to insert any things that I forgot. And if I just sit here silently for 2 minutes or for 2 seconds, you'll know I forgot nothing. But if I insert some text in here or some voiceover, you'll know why. All right. So anyway, are we going to get Classic Plus next year? I think it's a possibility. I think all of the signs are currently pointing to, yeah, I think we will. Blizzard just ended Season of Discovery. Yeah, they just started up Anniversary, but there's no reason that they can't cut their losses on that as well. Hardcore is essentially non-existent at this point. And Miss Pandaria is falling into a grave that it dug itself when it introduced pandas. So, and that's not to say that pandas are bad. I've never played a panda personally. I mean, I made one in the starting area and that was it. But a lot of people love their pandas and that's fine. I don't. It's not for me. And it's not for a lot of people. And that's okay. I didn't mind Miss Pandaria leveling through it back in 2012. It was fine. I enjoyed it. But is this what I want to do with my time in World of Warcraft? No, it's not. And neither is Warlords of Draenor. So realistically, what would happen is if they did go all the way to Legion, I'd have to level all the way up from 85 right now. And I really don't feel like doing that. So, anyway, so that's where we are. So hopefully we'll get a Classic Plus announcement here soon, but really I just want there to be something good Classic because yeah, the anniversary is fine, but like so many people have pointed out, we just did this 3 times and this is the 4th time in 6 years. Let's do something different. Let's mix it up. Let's add something. Season of Discovery was so close. They couldn't quite nail the landing, could they? All right. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Thank you so much for listening, for watching. I really do appreciate it. It is always a pleasure and a privilege for me to get on this microphone and speak to you. I do so enjoy this podcast and being able to get on here and just say whatever I want to say and know that a few of you are going to listen and even fewer of you will enjoy it. But you know what? You're out there and I appreciate it. And thank you. I do really appreciate it. I will say it's been a little weird watching the podcast numbers that I have go up. A little bit surprised, especially after going on vacation, but I felt like I had some pretty good interviews. And I definitely am going to give credit to my guests on that because as far as an interview goes, I still have a lot of work to do, but I am going to get there. I have some people that I'm going to get on the show in the next few weeks. And hopefully we can keep this train moving. Yeah, so there you go. And that's it. There you go. If you are enjoying this podcast and you would like to help us out, and I do enjoy the help. If you want to help us out, you can consider leaving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on any podcast app that you so choose. But Spotify and Apple Podcasts are the 2 premier podcast apps out there. Most of my downloads come from those 2 apps. So being totally honest, yeah, if you leave me a review on Podbean or Pocket Casts, that's great. But really the ones on Spotify and Apple are the ones that help the most. So anything helps, but some things help more than others. It's just the reality. So, and if you leave a review, I will read it on the air. And if you say something silly or funny, I will repeat those words as long as it's not crass or offensive. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can help us out by giving us a like and a comment and a subscribe. Any of those 3 things will help. So I appreciate that as well. If you are looking for some other ways that you can help and you're so happy with the YouTube or the Spotify and you're like, hey, I want to do some more to help out Azeroth United, you could consider joining our Patreon. So we have a Patreon server and on there is 3 different levels of patron. We have our free tier of patron and we have up through our friend of the show patrons. So if you want to join that, the friend of the show and our basic patrons, these are people who give their IRL money to help out with the production costs of the show. So that really means a lot to me. It's not even about, oh my gosh, this is helping me financially. It's about these people care enough to give me their real life money. And that means so much to me. And I'm definitely using it for good. Like I said, I set up the website. I'm going to upgrade some of this equipment here shortly. And yes, I'm going to end up spending a lot more than I get. And that's fine. Because, the wife and I have the agreement, she does her hobbies and I do mine. And so this is agreed upon and we both know it. So there you go. We do have a new patron that joined us last week, Raven728. So thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank our friend of the show patrons. This is Judge Omni, Stug Life, Thelial, and Greybeard. Thank you all so much as well. You guys all definitely help make Azeroth United possible, so I really appreciate it. So that's gonna wrap up our show for today. If you want to get a hold of me directly, you can reach me on Twitter or Blue Sky. I'm at Denethar on both of those platforms. You can get all of the show information, the links, the shortcuts, and more on our webpage. That's AzerothUnitedPod.com. Check out the check out the Discord. Jump on there. There's a lot of conversations going on. It ebbs and flows. Sometimes everybody's quiet and shy. Sometimes people are really chatty. But jump on and say hi. It'd be great. And we'd love to have you. So, all right. And that's it. So remember to be good to each other out there. That's a real life person on the other side of that keyboard. And maybe they love World of Warcraft Classic and you just don't. And you're like, I only play retail, and that's fine. You can do that. But you're all playing the same game, and we're playing video games, so you should be having fun, right? So just smile and nod and just be good to each other. All right. Take care. I love you all, and I'll see you in Azeroth.